Hey everyone, Paul out Sam. Welcome to part 3 of our Tamiya 124th Mazda RX-7 R1 video build, the spray can challenge build. We're going to get it all finished today. We're going to continue where we left off in part 2. There was a bit of a problem uploading part 2. It only uploaded in 360 definition. No idea why. So I deleted it and I re-uploaded it the next day. So if you did look that day and it wasn't there, you know why. And it should be there to watch now, all going well. So what we got left to do, we're going to do the interior, get all that together. We're going to flat and polish the body and see what we can get out of that clear coat, which is quite nerve-wracking to do. Glue all the glass in, get all the ancillary parts on, window wipers, etc. And then put it all together and see what we got. Yes, it's been interesting, this one. I've got some thoughts to chat about at the end, which we'll go through. But for now, let's jump straight in and let's start off where we left off last time. Hey everyone, please subscribe to the channel, click the bell notifications, get notified of our latest videos, give the video a thumbs up or a thumbs down, and leave a comment. I do read and appreciate every comment you guys and girls leave behind. I may not reply to them all, but they are all appreciated. And there's a link in the description of the video that takes you to a big long list of all handy videos and a lot of the products I use in my videos. You now have the chance to support the video content creation by using Patreon or the PayPal me link in the description down below. All the videos always remain free to watch. This is just your chance to help support the videos. So we dealt with the running gear last time in part 2, so we're going to start with our interior today. So this was all base painted in TS29 in the last video. If you remember, we put it on the cardboard and did it en masse. So everything's painted in semi-gloss black. Now, looking at a lot of these interiors, they are pretty bland and boring and just black. So we're going to leave it as is because detail painting all this with no airbrush, we haven't been able to mask it and spray small parts. Pretty difficult, so we're going to use the old KISS method, keep it stupid, simple. It's something like that anyway, keep it stupid, simple, wherever it is. And we're just going to brush paint the centre of the seats in Vallejo model colour black. And the rest of it we're just going to leave as is. Add the decals, get it all together, because like I say, smaller details I might usually mask and airbrush, different colours in and what have you. Spraying small parts like this with a spray can is, yeah, it's not an easy job and it is a pure waste of paint. So we're going to keep it simple, just paint a little bit inside and then get it all assembled. They are pretty just a sea of black in the standard Japanese cars, black and grey usually, I think. So we're going to do it. Also contemplated flocking the carpet. And my thought process was, well, if someone's not going to have an airbrush, are they going to take the time to flock the carpet? I think the answer, honestly, is probably no. So, yeah, we're just going to leave it as is, as painted, TS29, and crack on. Like I said, I've got 7 more of these in the stash, so I am going to build different ones over time. For now, this is completely out of the box, totally out of the box, mostly painted by spray cans. Brake and clutch pedal, I'm going to use the Molotov pen on to get some chrome on there. So just a quick brush over, holding it with the tweezers. Don't forget this stuff stays pretty, it doesn't really dry, so be careful handling it. A couple of dabs of Ciega where it goes, and we just use the tweezers to get it in place. A little bit tricky to get in there, but once they're in, we're all good. So as I was saying, I've got several other kits of these, and we're going to do them along various methods and ways. So we'll do one as a normal build, and then we'll do one, add some detail, maybe a trans kit to it, and probably end up with a small fleet of RX-7s along the way. So a couple of dabs on any pieces that need putting in place. So the centre console's in, we can get our gear stick in, handbrake, so on and so forth. Just line everything up, make sure we get it where we want it. The dashboard, we've got a few decal dials to put on there. Standard, older Tamiya decals, need to be careful with them, they do rip easily. They can be quite thick, so just take your time, leave them on the backing paper to soak for a while, not too long though, and then pop them in place, get rid of the excess moisture, hit them with, I will use Ultimate Strong to begin with, to get in place, and then leave them be. The wheels we did last time, as I said, we chose to leave them in the standard factory chrome colour that Tamiya does. Really nice colour, so why ruin what looks good in the first place? We've got the Mazda logos to pop in place. Exact same process with any decal, just on the backing paper. Take your time with these decals. The older Tamiya ones can be a problem, but just get them in place. Try and manhandle them as little as possible. Once you're happy where they are, get them set in place with your decal solution of choice, which for me is UMP Strong on these, because it does take a little bit to get them to set. So, a little dab of CA glue inside. We've got our seats in as well. Nothing spectacular to look at. They're just a couple of dabs of CA glue there in place. Dab of CA glue on the bottom of the dashboard. That pretty much friction fits in there. Not bad at all. So it's a bit bland and a bit boring. If I was to do this normally, I would flock it, add some different tonal variation inside, things like that. But because we're going for an out-of-the-box build, we'll just do it like this. 4 dabs of CA glue on the locating points, and we've got the cockpit tub glued in place. Tamiya kit, you've got to love them. Even this is early 90s, I think this kit is. Goes together with no fuss, no problem at all. And as I said all along, for the price, this kit is an absolute steal. Now, one part of the process I've not looked forward to at all is flatten the bodywork on this. Now, in hindsight, there's something we'll chat about at the end, I probably could have done with leaving it a bit longer to fully set. I could still put a mark in the finish with my fingernail. But number one, I was kind of wanted to get this finished, and number two, I was kind of curious at that level to see what kind of finish I could get. Now, the reason it stayed soft for so long is it takes a bit longer to harden than 2K, because we don't have the catalyst chemical reaction of the isocyanate in there. And number two, because of the sheer thickness that needs to go down. I think if we airbrushed it and built it up a bit slower, it would probably dry quicker. And again, this is where that dehydrator probably would have come in handy, because that would have dried this really quickly. But this is what we've got. We've not got a bad finish. There's a little bit of orange peel. We've got a little bit of dust in there. We've got a few runs to deal with. So I'm hitting this with 8,000. I'm not going to go any harsher than 8,000. Wet micro mesh. I'm just going to go around and flat it all carefully. Keep wiping it off with a bit of cotton, kitchen paper, and just keep checking and checking. And once I've got it flatted and smooth, we'll come with the 12,000 and then our Ultima polish system. And let's see what we can get out of this. Are we going to get a decent shine? Is it going to look awful? Well, we'll just have to wait and see, won't we? We'll just have to wait and see. So, like I say, in hindsight, I would have left this to dry for at least another couple of weeks. I finished this build in about 8 days. I absolutely flew through it. I didn't intend to finish it this quick, but the interior and the running gear came together so fast that it would have just been sat there for 2 weeks. And I thought, I really want to get it done. So that's why I kind of rushed ahead. I should have left it a little bit longer. But it is what it is. So let's see what we get. Like I say, I'll probably never do this challenge again. So we're never going to see the difference if I leave it longer. But I know it will cure longer over time. And you probably will get a better finish. But as I say, we're going to do it this way, and we're going to see what we're going to get. So just be careful going around the body. Stay away from the edges, any raised areas, because even though it's a mild abrasive on the micro mesh at 8,000, it will burn through quite quickly, especially on this kind of lacquer finish. 2K is very, very resilient, very strong, and I did notice this did sand a lot faster. Really did. The runs, I had a couple of runs right on the crease on the top of the door panels and a little bit onto the wing at the back, and they were gone near enough straight away. Very, very fast to get rid of, and that gave an indication of just how soft this is compared to 2K. So just take your time. I'm not really applying any pressure at all. I'm just literally letting the micro mesh glide over the water and just do its job in flattening the paint. We're not trying to sand the paint away, we're just trying to flat it and remove as much orange peel as we can. So we hit it with the 8,000, we hit it with the 12,000, exactly the same method. I've come in now, we've got our Ultimate Compound, and we'll follow that up with the Ultimate Polish as well. You can get this on umpretail.com. Now if you do have the compound, you may find it dries out over time. Put a few drops of water in there and it'll completely reactivate it back. I've moved away from the microfiber cloths. I'm using cotton Now, I've literally got an all cotton t-shirt, which, if you see me, that cotton will last me a long time. It could double as a dust cover for a Humvee. So just cutting it up into smaller squares, and yeah, polishing the body. Again, we're using an abrasive compound now, which is basically a more abrasive polish. So you've got to be careful of edges and any raised areas, and just really take your time working your way around the body. Again, you don't need masses of pressure. We're not trying to put pressure on the body. We're letting the abrasive paste of the compound do its job. So that's how it works, really. And don't be worried about putting too much on. We can clean it all up at the end. You'll see me how I do it. But make sure you get enough on there. And don't be frightened to go back over. Do a bit, wipe it off. If it hasn't quite got, the flatness, the shine you want, go back over it again. But just be aware there is a limit to how much you can do before you'll burn through. So with the compound all done and dried, I've got my old Mickey Mouse toothbrush. It's not mine, it's my boy's. And we're going to go around for all the panel lines and get rid of any remnants of that compound. Toothbrush is a very, very handy tool. Wipe over with the rest. We've got a nice pot of UMP polishing system polish now. So this is less abrasive. And again, we're going to go all around, and this should bring back the full shine of our clear coat. So this is the first time I've ever really done this on this kind of clear coat. So I had no idea what I was going to get. Nothing at all. Didn't know if it was going to look awful, if it was going to look like you could sand wood with it, it looked like it was Artex, whatever. No idea, but I just went at it and did as good a job as I can. One thing I brought away from it was it's a lot easier to work with than 2K. A lot quicker and a lot faster to polish. In that respect, it's easier to burn through. So it's a double-edged sword. It's easier to work with, but you've got to take a little bit more time. Real shame on this body, on those rear light reflectors at the back. You can see where the clear red ran under the clear. It shows you just how hot that clear is. Absolutely nothing you can do about it other than strip and start again. So it is what it is. It looks like a bit of a rust spot. So maybe it's got a dodgy screw in there, dodgy fixing, whatever it is. But it is a real shame because the rest of the car actually looks pretty damn good. But it is what it is. No model's perfect. And there we go. Generous amount of the polish. Don't worry about putting too much on. We can get it off. Use a dry cloth as well. I was always told to use a wet cloth, but looking around now, the general consensus seems to be use a dry cloth. So that's what I've been using. I love our polish system. Absolutely brilliant stuff. Nice and easy to use. Gets a really good result. Once you use the compound, then the polish, you can come in with either the wax, or you can use the wax and then the detail spray, the shine spray, and it gives a phenomenal finish. It really, really does. And one of my favourite products we've released over the years. I did the testing on this one. A lot of different testing to find a suitable supplier for us. That's what I'll say. And yeah, this works wonderful. It's nice and easy to use and gives a good result. So with that being done, we need to mask off for our window rubbers now. So I've completely wiped over the body. We've gone all over it with the toothbrush, got any remnants of polish and compound, any panel lines. We've wiped on the inside of the body because you'd be surprised how much of the polish and what have you gets in there, to clean it all up. And wash your hands, get any remnants of polish off them, because now is time when you start doing damage. So we're going to mask it up. We've got Tamiya's 1, 2 and 3 mil tapes. They've been out for a while now. We've got them at umpretail.com. I'm just going to go around, standard procedure, and mask around the front and side windows. Beautiful tape that does curve around corners quite easily, quite well. And then we'll infill it with the 6 mil and the larger Tamiya tapes, then use some cling film to do the rest. Now, one thing I did notice at this stage, I could kind of still put a fingerprint in the clear. So again, I think it could have done with a bit longer to dry. If I pressed really hard, it would kind of leave the impression of a fingerprint behind. It would wipe off to a degree, but it also was still there. Also, I used cling film on this to infill the rest of the body. Now, that has been known to leave marks on some clears, and it ever so slightly did in places on this. And I had to give a little bit of a polish afterwards to get the shine back. And that's down to the nature of the clear coat again, because it's not fully cured, as it like a 2K, it's going to need a lot longer to dry. So my advice to be, if you're using spray cans like this, leave that body for as long as you possibly can in a nice warm room, 20 degrees plus, and I'd leave it for a minimum of 2 weeks. So we've got it all masked off as good as possible. Masked inside, any crevice, everywhere. We've got cling film to mask all the bigger areas. And at this point, I'm just praying I get no bleed through, no overspray anywhere, because we can't get this off the clear coat because it leaks through the clear coat. On 2K, that's a bit forgiving. On this, yeah, whatever's there is there. So I did a full mask job as good as I could. Light spray can action, no heavy coats here at all. You just want to put light coats down, let it dry, come back in, 2 coats in total. And just make sure you've got all the angles and the recesses. And I am miles away from the model and just putting little bits of paint down as we go. So just make sure you get all the angles from underneath, not underneath the body, but underneath the actual windows. I also sprayed underneath the body as well, if I'm honest, to get the inside black as well, because you can see overspray through. I thought it looked better all black than speckled black on yellow. And unmasked, there we go. Came out pretty spot on. No overspray, no bleed, no problems at all, other than the marks left by the cling film, which you can see me looking at here now. Came out pretty good, to be honest. Quite happy with that. So any marks that were left, I just went over with the polish again, gave it a quick wipe over, 2 minutes work, and they were gone. Light reflectors, so we've got some Vallejo model silver. I've got a micro brush for speed because it fits in there perfect. I'm just putting a single coat inside there, and then we'll repeat that on the back as well. Quick way of painting, saves clean the brush, and the brush fits in there absolutely perfectly. Now you may notice it overspills out a little bit. We'll fix that when we put the light in, because we can get the water-based paint off the lacquer, no problem at all. Our windows that we masked last time and sprayed are being popped in place. Quite positive locating points for these, which is quite good to see. So get it in place, get it all lined up, try and handle it as little as possible, and then we're going to use the old 5-second, which is more like a 10-second UV glue to secure this all in place. So if you've not used it for a while, take the cap off, get a bit out of it, squeeze a bit out of it so you get fresh stuff. You will notice the stuff near the end goes green, so get rid of that and try and get some more fresher UV glue. It does have a shelf life, this stuff. I am tempted to buy a more expensive variant to see if it's any better, but literally get it on there, hit it with the UV pen. I like to hold it for at least 10 seconds. I find it grabs it a bit better. Although it's marketed as 5 seconds, I do find it takes a little bit longer to do. It's just a case of going around picking strategic points to put this in. Loads of room on this glass, really nice fitment. You're not going to see any of this coming out anywhere, but I like to put a dab of this in every area on every side, just to try and hold it as good as possible. It's so much safer and easier to use than CA glue, quicker than using the likes of PVA glue as well. And yeah, it's just a mess-free, quick way of putting glass in, and definitely something I'm glad I tried again. Now, I turned the lights off so you could see the UV light in action. You can literally see a colour change in the glue when it starts to cure. It goes like a luminous green ever so slightly, so you can see the reaction. With that glued in place, happy days. We've got the back window in as well, which goes in from the outside, which is unusual. Again, we just popped it in outside, got it lined up, and glued it from the inside. Job done. Now we've got our rear lights to go in, so cut them off the sprue. We hand painted those last time in clear red, if you remember. And we're literally going to just quickly clean it up with a 400 UMP thinny stick, get rid of the sprue point, give it a polish up, and then we can literally pop it in place. So just be careful with smaller parts like this, especially on older kits. I found the clear plastic can be quite brittle, so just take your time here. Don't be holding it too tight or bending it too much. And out of interest, just want to see if it would fit in, and it did. Fitted in really well. Yeah, absolutely perfect. So out we come, and we're going to get a bit of Deluxe Materials glue and glaze, PVA based glue. Always give it a good shake. There we go, mix it up. I'll put a dab on there. We'll grab a cocktail stick or a applicator, as they are very, very versatile, handy tools, cocktail sticks. Put a generous amount in. Doesn't matter if too much squeezes out. We can wipe off any excess. It's just PVA-based glue, and the lacquer will be resilient. Make sure you get the right way round, and on the right side they are handed. Pop it in place. You're going to get excess glue come out. Cotton bud, definitely didn't lick that, and then just gently wipe the excess glue away. Didn't lick it again. Don't lick your cotton buds. Have a bit of water nearby. We all do it though, don't we? We're all going to do it. And then once you're done, get a cloth, wipe it over, and then don't use that cloth for polishing. And there we go. We're happy. Everything's in place. Looking good. Rear wiper. Keep an eye on the wipers. You got to make sure you get the specific one for the back. Little dab of glue and glaze. And then now the glue and glaze, the longer it's out, the thicker it gets and the more tacky it gets. So leave it out and it becomes great to put window wipers on because it grabs them a little bit better. Don't use shea glue on your window wipers. I used to all the time. Finding it hazes the glass. This is a lot safer. Although as you'll see, you'll get it in place and the glue will grab it, but the window wiper will keep moving down the screen. So what I do is I just keep every 5 minutes coming back, moving it back up, and eventually it'll grab itself where it wants to. Wing mirrors, same job. Get them cut off, cleaned up. They're already chromed on the sprue, and we left the standard chrome on there. Bit of deluxe materials, glue and glaze, moist cotton bud, wipe off the excess, and there we go. And then I did try the PVA glue, as I'm a nightmare doing it, so I decided let's just use some CA glue. Tiny dab, get it in place, hold it, and then leave it be for a while. Rear spoiler, a couple of dabs of the deluxe materials, which has gone nice and tacky now. So we can just line it up. There's 2 locating points on there. Make sure you get them lined up correctly. As you can see, we've got a lovely shine on our body. Very, very impressed on the shine we got. It's not perfect. It's not as good as 2K, but it's damn good for a spray can finish. I will say that. Very happy with that. Mating the body to the car. We've done this before. We test fitted it. It needs to locate in the back and then just get the rear over the side. There we go, like so. And it locates over pretty well. Not too bad at all. Engine looks good. Clear coat looks phenomenal for a spray can. Really happy with that. Now, there's a lot of people out there can say about this scale thing. I'm not into this scale malarkey. I think shiny is shiny. Wherever it is, it's going to be shiny. But I can kind of see where people come from. We've got the rear license plate in place. And now we've got some ultimate shine. This is the spray detail wax. And we're just going to wipe it all over the body. Careful of those wing mirrors. Very, very easy to knock them off at this point. Now, one thing I've noticed, look at the bonnet, look at the front wing. Ever such a tiny tonal variation in the colour. The bonnet looks a bit more mustard. The wing looks a bit more yellow. Now, I'm going to attribute that to the parts being sprayed separately, which can happen, but because of the inconsistencies on the thickness of paint going down. So it's very easy to put a thicker coat down when you don't need to, and I think the bonnet has got a slightly thicker coat than the rest of the car, and it's given just a slight tonal variation on the yellow. You'll see it when it comes back around. If I show the bonnet again, you can see when the light catches the front, it's just ever such a slight different tone. You see a little bit on the spoiler a bit as well. And it's because all the parts have been painted separately that we've got a bit more paint on these parts. So I think it's darkened it a touch more. So again, it just shows you slight inconsistencies with the thickness of the paint and the problems it can cause. It's not really noticeable. I can only just about see it, but it does show up. Once you've shined all over the car, let it haze off and then come in and buff it off. And just look at that clear coat. For a spray can job, I'm really happy with this. It's come out very, very well. It's not perfect by any means. We've got a bit of dust in there. It's not the clear coat that 2K can be, but I've had worse 2K clear coats. look at the Audi. But for me, for a spray can, I'm more than happy with this. It's come out really, really well. Ultimate polish system doing its job and making this thing shine like an absolute diamond. And there we go, some pictures. So yeah, happy with this one. It turned out really well. We primed this in Tamiya Spray White Primer, base coated it in TS57 Chrome Yellow. We clear coated Mr. Hobby Super UV Cut Clear. Kit decals, not a lot of them, just a few went down. Grey primer for all the interior and running gear. TS17 for all the metal, and TS29 for all the semi-gloss black. Tamiya clears for the lights. We left the kit wheels as they are out of the box and the chrome. I think the only criticism I've got of this kit is the glass because of the age of the kit. And other than that, I think it needs lowering a touch on the front. To me, it just looks a bit high on the front. I don't know if that's the way RX-7 sit. The body is on properly. I did double check, but it just looks a little bit high. And next time, I would either put bigger wheels on, see what it looked like, or I would lower it on the front to get the stance about right. But overall, this has come out really well. We're going to chat in a minute about what our conclusions from this. I've already discussed it a little bit. But more than happy how this turned out. It's a great little kit. Beautiful looking car, and I'm very impressed with the clear coat I managed to pull off here. It was a good challenge. Real shame about that run on that rear light where you can see the clear red has ran. In hindsight, I'd paint that afterwards 100% to stay away from that problem, but obviously I've never done it before, so I didn't know it was going to have that issue. It's done a little bit on the amber on the front as well, but is what it is, just one of those things. But yeah, great kit, great car, and very happy how this has turned out. Good colour as well. You can see that ever such a slight tonal difference on the bonnet and the wing, or the fender. On the front, the bonnet's just a little bit darker. And like I say, I'm going to put that down to the way the car's sprayed. Because I was using a spray can, it's so much easier to put a heavier coat down that you're getting a little bit more paint on one part than the other. So there we go. Let's go back and have some final thoughts. Right then, so I'm happy with that came out. That came out a lot better than I thought it would. A lot of things to take away from this, and we'll chat about them in a second, but it came out really, really well. The clear coat, I'm actually quite surprised at how good a shine I got off that. Like I said, it's not perfect, it's not 2K, it's not as easy to do, it took a little bit of work, but one thing is, it's a lot softer than 2K, so it's easier to work with and faster to polish. On that note, you've got to be careful you don't burn through, because it is softer and it does sand a lot faster. You just got to take your time, but it came up really, really well. So yeah, more than happy with that. Everything else really good. Came up really well. Interior, the running gear, all looks good. Even the glass, spraying the black for the glass using the spray can, again quite hesitant doing that one, and the rubbers around the windows, thinking I'm gonna get massive bleed through, but good masking techniques, good spray technique, and that worked out really, really well. So, what have we gleaned from this build? Well, number one, it's a massive waste of paint. I've discussed this all the way through, and I'm going to give a full honest thought on this. It's a huge waste of paint. For the paint I've used on this tiny little car, I could have painted at least another 6 using the same amount of paint through the airbrush. I used the same amount of primer priming this tiny little thing, priming the huge 12 scale Skyline, because all the paint's missing the car because of the spray pattern of the primer. So it's cost a lot of money. I think if I work it out, we're well over £30 worth of paint on this. I've got a few dregs left in the spray cans I've used, but we used a complete can of white primer, the complete can of TS57. We used 3/4 of a can of grey primer, probably 4/5 a can of the TS29. Same with the TS17. All the main colours we used. It's a lot. So that's 5 cans of that, and the clear coat, near enough all that's gone. So it's £10 clear coat, £6 per other pot, so it's 24. We're over £34 worth of cans of paint. So with a little bit left, about 30 quid's worth. That's a lot. That really is a lot. So for anyone out there that doesn't have an airbrush and isn't getting one because of the cost, and I said it in the last video, you would recoup that cost very, very fast on the amount of paint you're saving over time. Now, to get set up with an airbrush, if you're looking £90 for a UMP Apex, £60 for an AS compressor, so that's about 150. Even if you spent another £50 on sundries, like a cleaning station, thinners, cleaners, a small collection of paints to start you off airbrushing, you would recoup that cost in a year easily. Easily in a year. And you get a better finish. It can be faster than brush paint in some parts. I brush paint a lot on that. I would usually mask and spray. But for me, it's the cost. It's so much wasted paint. The spray booth is just covered in dust. I've cleaned it all now. It was just everywhere. It's a very, very wasteful way of painting. Second thing to take away from this, mounting all the parts on bits of cardboard is a pain in the arse. I'm not going to lie. I've seen a few Japanese builders do it where they don't have a spray booth or an airbrush and are literally spraying outside on the balcony. And it works, don't get me wrong. But to lay out masking tape, put all the parts on, spray them, leave it overnight, come back, new masking tape, turn the parts over, spray them again, and then having to repeat that for primer and the colour took forever. Whereas I normally mount everything, it's primed. I could prime and paint in the same day if I really wanted to, quite easily. So that's quite a pain in the backside to do. Painting the windows, the glasswork and the window rubbers, you need to be very, very careful doing that. Number one, making sure everything is masked correctly. If I get lacquer on 2K, I can get it back off. I know for a fact I can. Using likes of IPA and then polishing it, it'll come off, or just lightly sanding it and polishing it back. Lacquer on lacquer is a lot more difficult to get off. So I knew if I got any overspray on that body, I was going to have a hell of a time sorting that out. So you need to make sure it is masked correctly so you don't get any overspray or seepage coming through. We've all done it. You spray a car body, you do the black work on the windows, and a little bit of paint's got through a vent, and you just got a little bit of overspray on one part. That would be a nightmare to deal with. So that's one thing. And spraying on too thick a coat, it will bleed through. And again, you'd have a hell of a time trying to fix that. So that was quite nerve-wracking to do. So yeah, you've got to be very, very careful with that aspect. Number 3, I would leave the paint, the clear coat, a lot longer to dry. I kind of, not rushed this, but got it done quite quick. I think from start to finish it was 8 days. I would have liked to have left that clear coat for at least a couple of weeks. And as I said before, the dehydrator would have been perfect for this, because it would have dried that paint so fast. It's a real shame I didn't have it anymore. But I think if I was to do it again, which we'll discuss in a minute, I would leave it for at least 2-3 weeks, because it is still soft. I can still put marks in the paint. It polished up beautifully, don't get me wrong. But I think I would leave it a lot longer next time. Other than that, fantastic kit. I'm going to grab another one of these. I'm pretty sure there's a trans kit out there. So my long-term goal is to build, I've got 2 Aoshimas, one a standard-ish car with nicer wheels on. We'll do that as a normal build with the airbrush and see what we get out of that. I've got like a modified one, which maybe we'll add a few extras to. And I think I fancy buying the Tamiya one again, adding the full trans kit to it, wide arch, wherever you can get, whatever's in there. And yeah, we'll have a whole fleet of these RX-7s over time. But for the money, this little kit's phenomenal. £13 you can pick it up for. And what a great little kit. Really, really is. Highly recommend this one to anybody. I really enjoyed it. The only downside is the glass for me. The glass isn't the greatest, and I think it does need lowering a touch on the front as well. But a great kit. Other than that, nothing else to talk about really. Enjoyed the build. Yeah, really did enjoy the build. Different, good fun. Shows you what you can get out of spray cans. Will I do it again? No. No way am I doing that again. I'm not wasting that much paint again on a small £13 model using £30+ worth of paint. No. Got the binman. Do apologise. They're going to make a hell of a racket now because they always do. Yeah. So, no. Definitely not doing the spray cans again. I use spray cans on and off for different things. I tend to decant it more than anything than airbrush it because you get a much, much better finish. But no, not doing this again. That was a total waste of paint. It was a good experiment, and again, it was something the patrons asked me to do, and a lot of you regular viewers as well. And I'm trying to kind of cater to everybody at the minute. So this was done for you lot more than me. Although I was interested to see, and I said it for a long time, I'd do it. We've done it. It's in the display case there. I'm proud of it, but I'm never doing it again. Never again. So there we are. So I hope you enjoyed the build. Have you got any suggestions in the chat of anything else you'd like to see? Fire away. I'm picking my next build currently. We've got the Lamborghini on the way. We've got a Formula 1 build which is going to start when the Lamborghini's done. But I'm looking for another simple build to crack on with once this video is uploaded. So yeah, any suggestions for any builds you'd like to see, videos you'd like to see, reviews you'd like to see, please pop them in the comments down below. I am trying to put more effort into this. This is my job now. You guys really spur me forward with the videos. So any suggestions for reviews, videos, techniques, anything you'd like to see, let me know and I'll try and do it. I do plan on doing some armour in the future as well. Probably the Abrams or the Sheridan, one of those two. We'll see. So I'll cater to that. I've still got the F-51 on the go. We will get back to that one over time. So there we are. As always, if you'd like to support future content on the channel, video, there's a Patreon me link in the description down below and a PayPal me link as well. Check out International Scale Modeler Facebook page and forum, umpretail.com. We can get a lot of products used in these videos. My Paul ISM Facebook page where I share all my personal modeling work, and check out the Live the Bench page, the Off Air Hangout group, and an ISM GB page as well. And there's a big long list of all the products I use in my videos in the description of this video, as well as links to everything I've mentioned there. If you roll through my scale mates, there's a link to that in the description down below. You can pick build suggestions, review suggestions. I'm open to listen to them all. And yeah, if you've done this kind of build before, let me know how you got on, what you took away from the build, brought away from it, gleaned from it, whatever you want to say. And yeah, let me know if you enjoyed the video. Leave a comment. Do appreciate all the comments. Leave a thumbs up and make sure you sub and hit the bell notification on the channel. There's a lot of spiel that every end of videos. I don't know many people hang around to it. If you do, say wave in the chat. Let's see who hangs around right to the end. Because I reckon as soon as I go, check out well, probably as soon as I mention Patreon, everyone's like, yeah, I'm out of here. I'm off. I'm going to watch a video about cats. So, there we are. Anyway, I'll catch y'all later, everyone. Bye-bye.